Hi there, I'm Dave Levine. Thanks for taking the time to join me and listen in. I'm the founder of Sport Stories and also the founder of the Summit Partnership, two organisations which I believe are built on three key principles. One is about adding value, one's about making a difference, and the other's about being professional and authentic. Okay, so today I'm really keen to ensure that I add value to you. The programme I want to talk about is my Coaching and Leadership Impact programme. Title is Maximising Your Coaching and Leadership Impact, because I believe coaching and leadership are fundamental components to how we turn up in the world, both at home and at work. Now, in terms of why I believe they're really important, okay, for me, do you wish to do a little bit more, make a bigger difference in what you do, whether it's at home or at work? Do you feel like you need to have less pressure and stress in your life? Do you sometimes feel a little bit overwhelmed and want a little bit more clarity and focus in what you do? Are you looking to build skills so you can impact further, have a different approach, have a clarity around your approach and philosophy? Do you want to have more productive relationships, whether it be at work or at home? Or alternatively, even achieve more and gain greater success, whatever success is to you. Now, for me, these are really important aspects. And I, in my life, at times have felt really quite stuck, lacking in purpose and direction possibly, and have used many strategies and approaches to work through things to come out the other side, and with great success as well, thankfully. Now for me, if you're challenging yourself with some of those aspects around feeling overwhelmed, feeling stress pressured, in the difficult environment that we're possibly living in today's world, then you're in the right place. Now, why would you listen to me? Well, for me, I bring myself, I bring my experience, I bring the highs and the lows of what I've done in the world to date. And as I said to me before, one of the things for me is about adding value, being authentic and making a difference. And for me, what I will do is bring my whole self towards what I do to bring it to you to help out. Now, why leadership and coaching? Well, for me, what leadership and coaching really stand for is both about leading yourself first and foremost, therefore understanding how you work and therefore how that impacts on others. And coaching similarly is the same. For me, it's about understanding the core principles and approaches within coaching, but then how do you apply them to yourself and therefore then work with others and coach others to develop and learn. And one of the key elements of the programs that I work on and my approach and philosophy is to practice what I preach, and therefore whatever I put out there, I'm happy and willing to share and do myself, share the highs, the lows, the learnings and the experiences, because I believe I won't ask anybody to do anything that I won't be prepared to do for myself. Now, a little bit more about me. Why would you listen to me, therefore? A little bit about me is that I've come from working in the people development and coaching world for 25 years plus experience of this. I've worked in many different environments and sectors, quite purposefully to pick up the learning, the experiences, the knowledge. Some of them I've really loved and got loads from. Some of them I've also not liked so much, but also got quite a lot from, which is quite an important point for me because there's learning in everything that we do. I've developed my skills in these different working environments. I've worked in so many different cultures. I've worked for myself as I do now, but I've also worked in large corporates and small family enterprises as well. So I have a good understanding of what it feels like, and feeling those experiences is actually quite important to the work I do, because I believe that underpins a lot of what we can do. I'm really passionate about what I do. I'm really passionate about helping individuals and organisations improve what they do or maximise what they do, because they might not necessarily need to improve. They might be doing really well but want to actually take it to the next level. Okay, so I'm really passionate about people and organisational development. Fundamentally though, for me, organisations develop through their people, and also if you're a healthy, happy person at home, you're more likely to be a healthy, happy person and impactful person at work is key to my approach and philosophy. And ultimately, I'm in a results game. I want people to achieve. I want them to succeed. I want them to move forward and achieve some results, whatever those results might be. They may be monetary, they might be sort of happiness or softer success factors. But for me, it's important that we identify what those are and how we move on. And that's what I've done for myself and many other people. Now, it's easy for me to stand here and say, this is what I've done and this is how it's worked for me. But let me just talk you through a couple of examples of where we've really made a difference through the programs and the interactions that we've had. First of all, I want to mention Steve. Steve I worked with for a couple of years on a program, and he was really stuck in his performance. He kept coming third. And after a number of sessions and working together and using some of the tools and techniques and the approaches that I bring forward, he maximised his impact. He changed it. He recognised the role that he was playing, and then the results just spoke for themselves. They thrashed it, they worked better as a team, and they went through and they started winning on the European golf circuit. So the impact that had was not just in terms of the sport, but also the performance. And that came through the awareness that he gained of himself and or others, and actually that really came to the fore. The second person I'd like to mention is Jason. Now, I worked with Jason for a number of years, also in terms of how he developed his leadership style and leadership approach. They were both very key to him because he had not really given a huge amount of thought in terms of how he came across, his approach, his philosophy. And actually, by working together, we built some confidence. I respected his position and status within the organisation, and actually he came through and actually felt that the value that the programme offered and the support that I did as a coach and the coaching and mentoring support he received actually made a huge amount of difference to him at that particular point in his development and his career. Now, the third person would also be a gentleman called Mark. Now, Mark is a person that I joined and worked alongside when he was working in a school and an education setting, as well as in a performing swimming centre. He was the head coach for a swimming programme. Mark has got a background in high performance sport as well, so he understands many of the key principles around high performance. But what he was also looking for is how to blend some of those key principles into his daily life, where he had not really experienced having worked in a kind of a business or an educational, sort of a more formal work setting, where he's just worked in performance environments. Now, for me, what I really supported Mark was getting a good balance, because getting a balance is a key component for me in terms of how we improve and deliver our high performance environments for both ourselves and those around us. And what Mark had a desire to do was get an optimal balance, so he could coach and deliver in a sporting context to the highest of his ability, but recognising that the demands from home and those around him were actually an integral ingredient in ensuring that he can perform at his best. Now, Nandeep, who I worked with, was on an international program, a virtual international program, so we never met face to face at all. But Nandeep was such a fantastic person to work with, because she brought a real energy and a desire, but also kind of a naivety in terms of where she was at in her development, and recognised through the work we did the restrictions that she had on herself, and that she had so many limiting beliefs. And actually, she broke free from some of the shackles that she had held within ourselves. And actually, one of the great phrases that she used back for me was she was now living life every day to its fullest, and therefore maximising what was going on for her at home and at work. And therefore really took a great leadership in terms of how she managed herself and her family and her environment and her team that she worked with. And as I said, this was on an international program. So for me, that's absolutely fantastic, given that actually the difference that she can make in her development role will actually make a difference to so many other people as well. Now, moving on to Andy, who I worked with. Andy worked in an operations kind of role, but it was also looking at his career direction, having been in the organisation at a high performing level, worked at many Olympics over the past few years or so, and was a crucial person within the role and the organisation, but was also looking to branch out, move forward, recognise where he was in his career, and also how he wanted to make a greater difference to what he does. And Andy's lack of clarity when we first came was really getting in his way, but through working together, looking at the tools and techniques, actually freed him up to get a greater sense of what he wanted in life, where he wanted to go next, but also how he could enjoy what he was currently doing, using the coaching and mentoring approach to actually bring greater fulfillment and greater balance to the work that he does now. So I've got a couple of others which I'm going to just refer to by letter due to holding their kind of anonymity and confidentiality. But I work with with P in terms of really absolutely working on the life balance. And again, I'm really careful in the words that I use there, because I feel that work blends into what we do in life. It's getting the right balance so we can be optimal in what we do. So P's life balance was really great. We had to manage a number of work challenges, bringing in some strategies and tools and techniques and frameworks just to help maximize that. And coaching for me is absolutely great, because if we can empower other people to help and grow them, we can often get a greater balance for ourselves. N is another person that I worked with more recently in terms of building confidence. Many people suffer from kind of a low self-esteem and a lacking in confidence, and it's often quite difficult to see and to notice unless you sort of start digging a little bit deeper and giving people an opportunity to speak. And I worked with N for a number of months in actually building her confidence, her self-esteem and her worth. And this was fantastic, because what ended up happening is results at work started to improve, happiness, smiling on the face, just the kind of the mindset that went around the work that she did was fantastic, and ultimately impacted on increased sales and revenue for the business, which was kind of a tangible result, which is only one measure of many, which we will sort of touch on. And then the last one for me was about working with an individual in the WFP program that I work with. And it was about bringing in coaching skills and in the environment to free up some time to become more strategic and more purposeful for the business and the team. And bringing in those coaching skills allowed the individual that I was working with in this program to free up greater time, to become more strategic, to make a greater difference through the business by empowering others, by asking great questions, observing, and actually in some ways stepping back. So there's a real sense of actually, by doing less operational work, which sometimes feels counterintuitive, they could be highly impactful and make a greater and a bigger difference. So there's a number of sort of case studies or scenarios whereby the impact of leadership and coaching can really, really drive an individual's performance, both at home and at work, so they get a better balance and a better kind of happiness within what they do and how they do it. So as you can tell, I'm really passionate about the work that we do here, and I want to make sure that this is transferred across to you, because you can have some of this value and some of this impact if you are struggling with the similar challenges to the guys that we've spoken about here. What I also want to do is also bring in a couple of other stories. One's around an individual who's developed his business. He's moved it on quite considerably. He's made some really key decisions, and just by having a greater focus, he's managed to maximize the impact of his staff, maximize the revenue and the turnover in some really tricky times and really very difficult business environments at the moment. So what I want to really hold out here and show you is that actually some of these key leadership and coaching interventions can really, really make a difference. So a little bit about me. You might say, well, why are you talking to me? Why does Dave Levine have anything to say and to offer? Well, let me tell you a little bit about my story, okay? Because I've actually lived a lot of this journey myself. I was born in South Africa. I came through a very difficult educational experience, and I've come through education to set up my own business and do pretty well. Okay, now why is that relevant? Well, I've lived the experiences that I've talked to you about. I've lived the fact that I have setting up a business. I had a family with 3 kids. I was made redundant, and I was facing some very difficult times. And what I've managed to do is to use the tools and the techniques and the strategies that I'm sharing with you today to help me get a better balance, to maintain some focus, and to be successful throughout my career. Other situations that I've really faced is actually having jobs and roles and being in conditions where I've really felt unhappy in what I'm doing and lacking direction and purpose. And what was really key for me, again, is to use those strategies and those techniques to formulate a plan, put a strategy in place, look at my mindset, my confidence, my abilities and my skills, and to really help myself navigate into a place of where I'm enjoying myself, making a difference, having a real clear purpose, and adding value every day that I can come to work and every day I impact on the world. So what I want to just put forward here is that I am a living, walking example of the strategies and the techniques and the approaches. And I wanted to share that with you because I'm learning and have learned through the process. I've taken the time to reflect on the processes, and I can really vouch for the fact that they do work. Now, in terms of other things about me, I've got a real great passion for the work I do. I've worked in the people development world, both in the corporate world and in sport and in development agencies for over 25 years, and captured my experiences, the tools, the strategies, the approaches, and I've really managed to work out what works and what doesn't work so well. So I'm bringing that huge amount of experience to the table, and one of my missions and purposes in life now is to find a mechanism to be able to share that experience in a coaching kind of style, as I would alluded to before, that actually really makes a difference that's lasting for individuals to live a happier, more impactful and a successful career both at home and at work. So really that's a career in terms of its life cycle. Okay, I'm really keen to make a difference to people in what they do and add value. Now, I'm not going to be able to sit alongside you forever, so what I'm looking to do is to pull together a number of different approaches to really impact and support you, so it's accessible to you wherever you are in the world and in whatever job, whatever role you do. Now, a little bit more about the work that I've done over time. Okay, I've worked with people in the sport world, as I've alluded to, at the very top of the game as both coaches and developers of others and leaders and parts of multidisciplinary teams. So they're senior, middle managers actually supporting and making a difference through leadership and coaching as their approach. Now, the Premier League is another organisation which I've done some work in. I've worked alongside a number of individuals in football academies, and they've ranged from heads of coaching, academy managers, support staff, and people dealing with a whole load of different challenges. And it's been fantastic in the sense of using a coaching and a leadership kind of methodology to really support the development of individuals there. So that's been a huge learning space, but I think what comes out of that so concretely is the fact of bringing performance principles into both your life and your work and seeing them play out in a very clear, measured and observed, judged way so very often. Two other organisations which I've also drawn in here, and I again allude to the idea of bringing coaching and leadership into a wider context, has been the ECB, so the England and Wales Cricket Board, where I've worked alongside a number of coaches on a development programme over many years here, developing not just their cricketing and coaching skills, but actually understanding their leadership philosophy, their leadership approach, improving their self-awareness, and crucially recognising that the role that they play in helping others is absolutely impacted on them understanding and having a better understanding of themselves. And conversely, the lack of understanding and how that can impact on performance has been absolutely clear to see. And in organisations like the Premier League, the ECB, and also UK Sport, which I haven't mentioned much about up till now, the small differences that we're looking for to help performance is absolutely crucial. And the small differences can be so much around performance, but also about our mental health, our mindset, our psychology, and how we turn up and what's going on in our wider world. So looking for those little areas where we can support and help and develop has been absolutely crucial in those environments. And I'm lucky to say that I've had a great deal of success, and that the principles of those successes is what I'm looking to bring together here in the work that I do. Now, in terms of adding value, if what I'm saying here is really resonating with you and saying, actually, this is the journey I am on, whether I'm stuck, I'm struggling, I'm feeling overwhelmed, a little pressured or stressed, whether at work or at home, or conversely, as I work with many people in performance environments, they're at the top of their game, but they're looking to go again. They're looking to polish. They're looking for small little aspects of the work that they do to how they can actually further improve and develop to make a greater difference both for themselves and for others. If that's what you're about and that's where you're at, then continue to listen, because I think this is the place for you. We're getting a greater sense that you're on the same page as me. You're in the place that actually this kind of work could add value to you in the work that you do and in the environments that you work. Now, you might ask, come on then, Dave, tell me a little bit more about how do you do that? Well, how do I do that is based on a model called the IACAR model. And I've developed this myself, and it's just based on my experiences of what's worked and what's not so worked over the years. And basically, the IACAR model is based on providing information, and information is readily available out there. There's lots of it on the internet from friends, family. There's lots of literature and books and papers and so on. But it's actually collecting the information that's relevant. Then it's absolutely understanding how does that information be applied. So where is it being brought to life, so we can get an example of how it works. So the information goes to the application of it. And then to continue on the journey, then it's about actually what does that application or what does this information look like in my world? So it's applied to me, and how will this actually make a difference in my environment and in my context? And that for me is absolutely crucial, because for many times in the learning opportunities we have, it is often out of context and out of environment, and the difficulty is then applying it and connecting it back to your world. So one of the areas that we would work very strongly on within the models that I propose is about making sure we connect it back into your environment. And then obviously without taking any action, then we're not going to reap any of the rewards or the benefits or the desired goals that we have. So for me, action is one of the crucial steps. We can do all the lovely learning and the application and understanding and making sense, but if we then don't take it forward into any sort of action, then we're going to miss out on the desired goals and the opportunities that this presents. So taking action is really key. And then last but not least, probably one of the most crucial aspects is around reflection. And how do we take the reflections and the learnings, some what's gone well and maybe what's not gone so well, and actually regurgitate that background to inform how we go forward. So the IACAR model underpins a lot of our philosophy and principles. And what's also really key for me to make sure that you're appreciative of is that our approach is very flexible, it's digestible, and ultimately linking back to my key principles and those of Sport Stories and the Summit Partnership is that it needs to be impactful. Now, the healthy skeptic in me would come back to saying, why me? Why would you want to work alongside me and engage in the programs that I've developed? Well, trust is a big part of the work that I do. As I mentioned before, being kind of authentic, genuine, adding value, making a difference are key in the learning and development work that I do. But trust is another key aspect. And as I said before, I want to be congruent, I want to practice what I preach. And therefore, what I put forward here hopefully comes across to you as actually being really purposeful and intended. So I want you to get a sense of that. And an example of that for me would be the work that I did with Kevin Sinfield. Again, he's been happy for me to share that we've done some work together in the past. And for me, Kevin was a great example of coming alongside somebody that was in quite a high profile position at the time. It had quite a standout career in many ways. And I worked alongside Kevin just to grow his confidence into the role that he had taken on board. And over time, gain a greater clarity about some of the challenges and the opportunities that he was facing, which was invaluable to him at the time, I'm happy to say, given that he's fed that back to me. And then subsequently, we've still got a close working relationship. We're not in each other's pockets in a sense that, we dip in and dip out of working alongside each other. And I think that's the value of development programs and coaching and mentoring, is that it needs to be purposeful and timely. And the work that I did with Kev at that time was absolutely purposeful and timely. And who knows, we might touch base again at a later stage as and when the needs are required. In terms of other sort of aspects which might give further trust or credibility to the work that I do is just sharing some of the organisations which I've gleaned from and learned from, but also have impacted on. Morrison's supermarket, which I had a great experience of working with in the retail sector, delivering a coaching for performance program where we were really making a difference on a large scale. Always very difficult to do it on such large scales, and I worked with a number of colleagues in there. But for me, just making an impact and seeing an organisation pick up a coaching methodology and using that as a key leadership approach was phenomenal and impactful. Novartis Pharmaceuticals are very keen to engage in their people development, and I was fortunate enough to work alongside a number of senior and middle leaders in terms of building their emotional intelligence capabilities, looking at their self-awareness and how they interact with many other people. And that was an absolutely joyful experience, just seeing some people again in a real pressured, large corporate flourish, both in the work with the high levels of stress and pressures, but also in their wider sort of sphere of life. Now, I've shared quite a lot about the value I can offer, the programs, the impact this could have, and the benefits that you could receive from engaging on such a program. I've also explained a little bit more about my journey, the organisations that I've worked with and gleaned so much learning and experience from over the many years, and also shared about the model and the approach that I'm likely to take that underpins. So you get a real good sense of my approach, my beliefs, my value systems, and also what your energy is likely to get back in return. And I'm doing all of this because it's very important for me to ensure that we get the right connection. And then if you don't understand where I'm coming from and how we can connect, then actually you might not be able to have an informed decision, and or you might make the wrong decision. And that's not right for me, given that I want to make a difference. I want you to feel valued. I want to be authentic in terms of my offering, and therefore everything's out on the table and clear. What I've not brought to the table and what I've not really shared as such yet is actually I've been through a lot of this myself. I've really experienced this journey myself. I was born in South Africa. I lived there for a number of years and then came to England, where I'm based at the moment. I started off in education, it was not a great start to education, and my experiences there really inform an impact on what I now do. But for me, that learning experiences was unpleasant at the time, but very impactful. So I found and worked at the strategies to come through that. I've navigated my career through education. I worked in education for a number of years. Took some time working in some of the big corporate world. So I worked for some large organisations, learning about product development, sales, marketing, leadership, management. And I got a really good solid grounding in those areas, and then transferred back across to working within the sporting sector and the development sector, where my real purpose and passion is. But along the journeys there, I've had many highs in terms of successes and recognitions, and been recognised as top performer in some environments. But I've also had some real great lows and difficulties and times of extreme pressure and stress where I've really not known what to do and how to manage it. I've also felt really overwhelmed and unfocused and unclear in my life, at times of some real dark places and not knowing what's next and where am I going and what should I do. I've been made redundant from a job which I thought was my dream job, so I had the rug pulled from under me, and I've also had the experience of having to leave a job with no other job to go to because it became so difficult and so unrewarding and draining on my energy and my self-worth and belief, and I was at rock bottom and I just had to leave. So I've been in an unemployed situation. So I'm not sharing that because it's a sob story. It's more a case of actually you appreciating that I can empathise. I've been in a lot of these situations, and actually a lot of the principles, my mindset and the journey that I've taken is based on my personal experiences. And I bring that into my family setting as well, because I believe my work and my family are interconnected, because however I'm doing at work impacts on what's going on at home and vice versa. If things are struggling at home or my children are having a difficult time, then that actually impacts on what the work situation is. And I believe that wholeheartedly, and that's why I bring it to the table, and this is part of the programs that we will work on. Now, if you're resonating with some of my story, if you're resonating with some of what I'm saying in terms of the impact of leadership and coaching, then you're in the right place. This is really can help you, and this can really make a difference. And what I'm looking to do now is to bring forward a program to help individuals far and wide and be as impactful as I can possibly be. And I want to keep it quite simple, okay? And the simplicity has really been brought to me more recently because I have worked a lot in sport. I've worked a lot in high performance sport environments. And I think some of the key principles of that have really fed into the way that I worked. And I've recognised there's a lot of complexity in the world, but focus and simplicity is one of the key aspects. And I'm happy to say I'm working with an organisation at the moment where we're looking at leadership and coaching, but actually bringing it in a really exploratory way, but also trying to keep it really simple and help individuals maximise the impact of their learning. And once again, I'm looking to do that for you. And that's why I'm bringing the programme together today. Now, when I say I want to be authentic and simple, I want to put on the table the next steps. What goes after this? So if you're keen to work alongside myself and Sport Stories, then this is the options, okay? We have a really focused program called Maximise Your Leadership and Coaching Impact, okay? And you can engage in that, and that's available. Alongside of that, though, there will be a coaching offer, coaching and mentoring offer, if you call it that. It's an opportunity to work with people like myself, possibly even myself, who can sit alongside your development journey, whether it be in the corporate world or whether it be in high performance sport or grassroots sport or whatever environment you would like to use as a vehicle. But for me, it's not actually sitting alongside your environment and your role or your title. It would be sitting alongside you as an individual, because by developing you and supporting you in what you do, it'll impact on home or at work. So really what I'm saying is here, there's a development program, which is an online program, which is called Maximising Your Leadership and Coaching Impact, because by doing that, you'll impact on yourself and others. And alongside that, there is a coaching and mentoring offer, which will sit and support you as an individual in whatever context you work. Now, I hope that's really clear and simple. Alongside that as well, there is the Sport Stories podcasts, which are conversations with a number of different people, understanding their journeys, really getting an insight into their lives, their careers, their highs, their lows. And I really hope you engage in that, because for me, that gives you an insight into how other people might do it. So it touches on that kind of application aspect of the IACAR model. But for me, then you can take elements out of it, the gems, the gold, the offerings, the value out of those pots, and then try it out for yourself. Okay, and it's a free to access program. You can pick up the podcasts on different platforms, but we would use that as an avenue to explore, to gain some insight, but also to build on your value and your worth and your self-esteem, which is core and underpinning to the work that we do. So just to recap, if you're struggling, you're feeling a bit overwhelmed, you're stressed, you're pressure, you're lacking in tools and resources as a leader and a manager, you're wanting to find more time to become more strategic and to make a greater impact in your working context, but also get a greater balance for what's going on at home, then the Maximising Your Leadership and Coaching Impact is the place to be. How we can do that is either through an online program, which we can talk about in further details, but also there's the opportunity to engage in coaching and mentoring with either myself or a number of colleagues. So let me talk you through the Sport Stories Coaching and Mentoring. We work to the acronym of priceless, given that we believe that Sport Stories Coaching and Mentoring is absolutely priceless. We work to the acronym priceless because it gives us a real sense and flavour to what we do. So let me walk you through the letters and what they mean. So P stands for purposeful and professional. We believe that the coaching that we provide needs to have a real purpose to it, therefore relatable and actionable and related to you, the person. And also we're very keen to ensure that we're professional in our standards and in the way we turn up and the way we present ourselves, as our profession and our professionality is really important to us. The R stands for real and reflective. All our coaching is related to you and is related to the work and the environment which you exist in. And it's also very reflective in the sense of we look back, we look forward, and we make sure that we learn from what we do. So we use a number of reflective models to just help us and support the learning that takes place. The I stands for interesting and interdependent. We want our work to be interesting and create some sort of levels of enthusiasm and engagement, as well as it's needing to be interdependent. Therefore, what we make sure is that we don't become reliant on the coach or the mentor, and that you actually know when to use them and also know when you can stand on your own 2 feet and do what you need to do in your own context. So interdependency is really, really important to us. The E stands for confidential and challenging. As I've mentioned once before, confidentiality and our trust and our credibility is absolutely key to us, given the nature of the people that we work with and our relationships going forward. So we ensure that all our work is confidential and is bound into a coaching code of ethics. And it's also challenging because we want to make sure that there's a suitable element of challenge in the work that we do to make sure that people keep developing and moving forward. The E stands for enjoyable and enlightening. A big principle to the work that we do is enjoyability. If we don't enjoy what we do, we believe it will struggle to learn, it will be harder to engage in and to move forward. So enjoyable is really important to us. We want to have some fun, we want to make it engaging and connecting. So having fun and engaging is really important to us. And enlightening, I think for me that's one of the key areas here, because if we open up our minds, we learn something new, we find something out that we maybe didn't know, and that we can that's going to add value to ourselves and to the work or the environment or our family or whoever we're with, it's really important, because I feel like if we are feeling enlightened, then we actually get more motivation and we'll stick with the journey for longer. Moving on then to the L, linked and lifelong. Linked is really important, again, as they all are, because what we want to do is make sure that things are connected. They're connected from the work that we do back into your workplace, but also we will make links within the work that we do, because actions that have gone on in the past and in the future often have connections and links, and therefore learning from those is absolutely crucial. And lifelong speaks for itself really, that any work that we do, any coaching, any development is with you for life. So this is about a real investment in yourself to take forward and carry on throughout your working career or your family career or whatever you carry on doing. So linked and lifelong is really crucial. Engaging and encouraging, as I mentioned before, engaging is really important on so many different levels, because I think through the highs and the lows, the difficult times and the high times, if we feel connected to our development and to our personal journey, then we're likely to put more energy into it and take it further. And I think engaging is a key aspect of leadership and coaching, because if we can help others engage in the work that they do, they're more likely to give discretionary effort and commit and buy in. So engaging is really important. And encouraging links to our philosophy around a kind of positive psychology, and that we want to actually affirm and build on strengths that we have, and that we want to focus on the positives. That doesn't mean that we will disregard any of the weaknesses or things that we need to work on, but we come from a very encouraging and a positive slant in terms of the work we do to ensure that we build on that. We strongly believe if people are encouraged, then they'll work better on themselves, they'll engage in it, and therefore make greater strides, improvements and progress. So the 2 S's at the end. The first one will be simple and supportive. We try and boil things down. The world out there is really complicated. There's so much information, there's so much going on, that we're trying to keep things really simple and to the point. And also, the flip side of the challenging, which I mentioned earlier on, is the supportive side. We're very keen to make sure that all our work is of high challenge, but it's also high support. Because if we feel supported, we're in a psychologically safe space, then we can make the changes, we can engage in the work that's required and actually improve and develop as we wish. So simple and supportive are those S's. And the last S in the priceless acronym is sincere and special. As mentioned before, our approach is to be as honest, as authentic, as genuine and as sincere as we possibly can. We want to engage with the people and go on journeys. Our principle is about working with people, not doing to them, and working alongside them. So coaching and mentoring is a key aspect of our leadership philosophy and our leadership approach as me as an individual, but also me as an organisation as well, and the people that I work with. So sincere runs through as a key kind of thread, and we solidly believe that actually building that sincerity within your leadership brand is also a key aspect that we should work on. So again, practicing what we preach and trying to be genuine and authentic is key to it. And last but not least is special. I think coaching and mentoring, investing in yourself should be a really special opportunity and something you should cherish, engage in, and look to grow on and build on for the rest of your life. I might be a bit biased because I've valued from it and I also help others. But I think this relationship can be pretty special and can take people on a really incredible journey through the highs and the lows. But I think also making sure that the legacy that you leave within your life and that you leave with very few regrets, if any at all, is absolutely crucial. So hopefully this will be the start of a very special relationship. So there you go. That's the priceless acronym, the priceless sports stories, coaching and mentoring services that we offer. And again, as I've mentioned before, happy to explain more and tell you more, but I believe that with those as the key thread to any development work that you do, you can't fail to maximise your coaching and your leadership impact. And what I want to add in is an extra bonus that if you were to sign up to any coaching and mentoring offer, then I would like to work with you to identify a charity or a community program that we could invest some greater resources into and offer some of the great tools and the resources that the Maximising Coaching and Leadership Impact program offers, but allow it into some greater, into some needy environments that could really appreciate value and make the most of that. So hopefully that's quite clear as a recap. If you are interested in the development program, which is, as I say, is underpinned by all of my key principles and philosophies, then have a look on my website. There'll be some links below the video here which you can access that program. If you are interested in furthering the coaching and mentoring offer, what I would like to propose is it is an investment. It's an investment in you, which I would always say is a good investment in you, because I think we should all invest in ourselves more often, because if we can get ourselves in good shape and in top tip performing, then we can make a greater impact on our lives, both at work and at home. And for that, what I would propose is that if this is for you and you're really quite interested and you believe what I believe and the principles are all stacking up, then let's grab a conversation on the phone or over Zoom or something like that, just to see if this is for you and the program is right for you to invest in for the next year or so. So to recap and next steps. So number one is there's an online program. It's all in one place. All the information will be there. The tools, the templates, the information, all gathered together in one place, so you can access it as and when you require it. I'm very conscious that there's so much information out there. I've even felt overwhelmed, and hence why I'm trying to bring it together in one place that's usable, digestible, simple, and real for you to digest, use at your will and whim. Okay, so the online program is all in one place. The cost for the online program for the first year subscription will be £997. That's everything in one place, and it will be evolving and growing. So what I mean by that is I'll continually update, bring updated news, information, new templates, and based on the needs of you and the community I work with, I'll be creating new resources to help you along your way. Year two will be a reduced fee right the way down to about £200 because you'll have got the principles that will underpin your development for your lifelong learning, but obviously to access the community, the new resources and everything that goes with it, there will be a small fee for year two. But the first major sort of investment in your development will be in year one for the online program, and then year two as a top up. And I would say that's really great value, given that, you know, many development courses cost thousands and thousands of pounds. And for me, you're going to get all the information you need, all the information and the insights and the opportunity to really make sense of this all in one place for a relatively small fee. So that's the online program. To sit alongside the online program, as I've alluded to as we've gone, there is the coaching and mentoring services. That's priceless, as I've mentioned. Priceless is the acronym that underpins and gives you a real flavour as to what I provide. I have a really fantastic group of credible coaches and mentors to support me. So if I'm not available, then I can signpost you and we'll pass you on to one of my respected sort of group of coaches and mentors that work with me. They'll all work with the same principles, and they will also have access to all of the tools and the resources that you would have if you were working with me. What I do say is, though, and why I do have a pool of people working with me and around me, is that in order to give the very best of who I am to the clients that I work with, I maximise the amount of people I work with to a number of 10. So I'll never work with more than 10 clients at any one time. So as one finishes working with me, then I'll pick up another one. But if I'm up to the maximum and you're looking for coaching and mentoring support, I will flag or signpost to a colleague of mine who works with the same principles, who has kind of come through and worked with me. Obviously, as I mentioned along the way, though, I want you to make sure that you're comfortable, you believe in what I believe, you're also clear in terms of what the offer is. Learning and development doesn't take place unless you put the energy to it and you're committed to it in your own right. I've had to learn that way, and I'm continuing on that journey, and I wish you to do the same. So if you're committed, you're passionate, you're willing to put the time and energy into it and to work closely with me or a colleague, then I'll be delighted to talk to you further. But in order to make sure this is the right investment for you, I would like to suggest that we have a free complimentary 30-minute phone call where you can get to know me a little bit better, see if I'm the right person to work with, if not, whether my colleague is, or even if you're not ready for coaching and mentoring support as yet, then there is the online program which you can engage in throughout the year, maximise it, use it, and sort of self-guide yourself along the coaching and mentoring journey. So if you're interested in finding out more, obviously what I'd like you to do is click the link that will be provided with the video or at the bottom of the video, and that we can click through and organise the 30-minute complimentary phone call. If you're really interested in just the online program, then again, there will be a link with the video so you can make sure that you can click straight through to the program and just get going with it and follow the short video clips. There's loads of great slides. I've got well over 100 different subject areas with content delivered in a really digestible, easy, fun and engaging kind of way. But my challenge to you all, as is mine, is that you need to engage in it, and it needs to be something that you want to do and the journey you want to go on. So if you're struggling with, as I said, it, feeling a little bit overwhelmed, you're stuck in what you're doing, the balance of your work's not great at the moment, or you've got some fantastic opportunities and you just need some sounding board and some tools, techniques and resources to help you on your way, then I'm the person for you. This is the program for you. So really, to maximise your leadership impact, your coaching impact, will actually make your time to enable you to use your time more effectively and more beneficially. So hopefully that's really clear for you, but there'll be more details, as I say, below the video, and also if you want to have a look on my website, which is on www.sportstories247.com, and my other corporate website is the Summit Partnership, which is www.thesummitpartnership.com. And again, there's lots of recommendations on there, there's testimonials, and there's also some free resources should you wish. But ultimately, the choice is over to you. Hopefully from today, you've got a real good sense of what the program is, the issues that we can help you solve and deal with, the challenges that you will need to face along the way, and ultimately, if you're up for it, you've got the passion, you're ready to engage, you're looking to build your business, make sure that you fulfill your goals, achieve your success factors in life, and ultimately, which is really important to me, to leave some sort of legacy, i.e. be it through leaving a legacy of making a difference in the world and helping a number of people, then you're in the right place. So I hope you've enjoyed the video, I hope you've got a lot from it, and I look forward to speaking to you pretty soon to discuss whether the coaching call is for you. Thanks a lot for your time.